Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that lovely brutal OSC as we have returned with the Grand Finals. The Grand Finals of PiGosaur Monday number 11. Again, a bit of a shorter broadcast here. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the replays of the lower semifinals. I would have loved to have seen Trigger go up against Shin. I'm sure that would have been an amazing PvZ, but unfortunately, that wasn't quite available to us. Regardless, the show will go on, and we have our best of 5 before us here between Creator and Trigger. Let's go. Let us go. The PvP is here, and game 1 is going to be taking place on ley lines. As a reminder, it is going to be a best of 5, not a best of 3, and it all begins on our first map. Alright guys, again, hope you've all been enjoying yourselves. Hope you're all taking care towards the end of the year as we settle into game 1, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss. It is Creator. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. Here we go. And again, Trigger, he's been improving so much over the past year. It's been amazing to see his growth as a player. For those who are unaware, Trigger, he is currently residing in South Korea. He's in the land of Korea, and he has been there ever since, I want to say, around June of this year, so almost half a year at this point. Getting up there, getting towards that half-year point, 6 months. Again, Trigger, he went to South Korea back before EWC, alongside Estrella, alongside Clem and Future. They all booked an Airbnb together, and they made their own NA team house in South Korea. And they all improved so much in that time. I mean that led into Clem becoming the world champion, of course. But including him, alongside Clem, both Estrella and Trigger, I do want to say that that's part of the reason why we've seen their growth look quite exponential here in those months preceding EWC as well. Has been able to improve so much in that period of time. And yeah, Trigger to make it to the finals. Impressive. Very impressive stuff. And we'll see how it compares to Creator. For the time being, we do have our initial openers. We do have a double gate opener here out of a Trigger. Meanwhile, we have, I believe, a gate cybercore opener out of Creator. Now, this opener that Creator is going for has been making the rounds amongst the Korean Protosses. For those that have been watching PvPs over the past month, over the past 2 months, Hero has kind of led the charge here in many Koreans to adopt the Max Packs opener, going for not a 2-gate opener, but a gate cyber into expand. I mean, to be fair, even Max Packs isn't quite this greedy, but a lot of Protoss players now have been adopting, this more greedier style or variations off of gate into cybercore. So Trigger's going for a standard opener, Creator is cutting corners. And this may force a reaction, it may force a 1-base all-in out of Trigger. Speaking of, you have 2 probes. 2 probes on the map, 1-base all-in. Let's go, we'll see if Creator can pull off the defense. Now, as a reminder, this is greedier than what Max Packs usually goes for, and the reason why Max Packs is not as greedy as this is because Max Packs would usually go for tech before expand. Specifically Stargate. And what the Stargate means, what it entails, is that you do have access to early Void Rays for early game defense. Because Creator did throw down the Nexus first, that means that his tech is later. We do have a robo response for Immortal production, but it is going to be far later here for Creator, and we'll see if he brings it up in time. As gateways are finishing up, Hallucination does confirm, does support all 3 gates, confirms no expansion. Creator knows. He knows it's a 1-base all-in. It's going to be a 4-gate massive vanilla Stalker all-in here out of Trigger. This is going to hit real fast, real quick. There is going to be 1 Immortal to defend, but I would imagine only 1. As Creator, he is up against the wall. Here we go, the first Immortal has begun. Shield batteries here for Creator. We have 1 on the low ground, 1 on the high ground as well. 3rd shield battery on the way. And Trigger, he will soon pull that trigger. Just waiting for the gateways to finish up, waiting for that warp in as well. Warp gate just now completing. And where's that warp in? Gateway's just now getting powered. Warp in now available, 4 stalkers at a time. Again, a 1-base, 4-gate all in. Of course, Creator does confirm. And can he hold? Shield battery's bailing already in time. There's 1 shield battery here on low ground. Second one does finish up. Immortal does pop out. The Immortal so far. Creator, he's holding on. Shield's getting stripped away. But it looks like Creator, he does hold for now. It does force back Trigger. Does force him back. Second Immortal's on the way. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Creator. But now we're up to, what, 8, 9 Stalkers. He's going for the dive. He wants the Immortal. He's going to get it. The Immortal gets 3 shots. does go down. There's the NG overcharge, but alas, it may not matter. Down to 1 Stalker. Down to 0 Stalkers. As Trigger, he will clean up the entirety here of the low ground. That 1 Stalker barely survives. The Immortal does pop out. Here comes that second Immortal. And is it enough? Creator, he's shutting down the Stalkers. Down to 4. Now up to 7. 7 Stalkers left. Nice force field. Good control here so far at a Trigger. But he's being forced back. Again, that 1 Immortal holding line. He's holding. Oof. I say that he does at least preserve the Immortal. Does keep it alive. But the low ground is in control of Trigger. Takes down the pylon. Depowers the shield battery. Ooh, he wants that Immortal. We'll bleed another Stalker. Bleeding out another Stalker. Still up to 7. Shading past the main army into the mineral line. Yeah, Depths, they commit. They commit to the shade. Probes are going to be going down. Creator stuck on a 0 base economy. No mining, no saturation. More Depths on the way. The Depths, they do well tanking shots. Trigger triggering those shields. Coming in from behind, collapsing on the Immortals, and he will take them down. 1 Immortal falls, 2nd Immortal as well. GG gets called as Trigger, he will overwhelm, and Trigger takes game number 1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Trigger will take a lead in the series. Again, very risky move for creators to go for the Gate Cyber Expand. That is one of the greediest builds you can go for in PvP. He asked for the all-in, and to be fair, creator, he almost held. He almost held, I should say. He almost did hold, as he was able to buy time and build up the Immortal count. Really, what did pull him apart and the tipping point in favor of Trigger were the Depths. When they got into the main base, when they distracted creator, when they created the opening, we saw that Trigger, he was able to take control of the low ground, able to delay any reinforcements, and eventually overwhelm creator then and there. GG, well played. Oh, but very, very tense. Very intense game. As now we're getting into game number 2. Now, game 2 is going to be on Ultra Love. The chances of us getting to a more economic game state is much higher here on Ultra Love. As you can imagine, welcome to a map that has a ramp coming into the natural. What does that mean? That means economic openers all around. As spawning in the top right hand corner of Ultra Love, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, down in the series. We'll see if we can bounce back. It is Creator. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. Ooh, okay, so Creator is doing the standard, he's going for the standard approach this time. As I did mention, on maps like Ultra Love, you do have a ramp coming into the natural, so it is now legal to go for a gate expand, or a gate cyber expand. It's much more easy to defend and much more viable, so economic openers are standard on Ultra Love. Despite that, Trigger going for the high ground 2 gate opener. Which means, once again, Trigger will have the option to go for a 1 base all-in, but what I will say, because of the ramp, because of the choke point, and because of the high ground as well, 1 base all-ins are less effective on Ultra Love. So my eyes are going to be on Trigger here to see what he does embrace. As Trigger, he does, oh, it looks like Trigger is going for, yeah, we go, 2 gate opener. 2 gate opener out of Trigger. Creator, he confirms. Creator, he does confirm the more aggressive start from Trigger. Another 1 base all in. Yeah. Did you see that rally? The probe is routed across the map. This time, last game, it was a 4 gate 1 base all in. This could be a robo, proxy robo 1 base all in instead. Show us what you got. As the probe is in position. Yep, pylon gets placed. And we are setting up for the robo as we're waiting for the Cybercore to finish up. Meanwhile, across the map, Creator, he did go for, ooh, he went for the Creator, he cuts even more corners. That is a gate expand into Cybercore. That is Cybercore after the Nexus. Ay, very greedy build here by Creator. Even more so than normal. I would expect like gate, Cyber, then Nexus, just so we can go for earlier tech, earlier robo. This is going to be a later robo from Creator. So once again, Creator, he's cutting corners. Now, as I mentioned, I stand by it. It is easier to defend on this map, but still risky maneuver here by Creator. Still quite risky. Creator, he confirms both gases, he confirms both gateways, he confirms no expansion. Creator, he, I'm sure, is aware that something is wrong, and he's trying to figure out what exactly is happening here. He does make that first out, and it looks like he... No! He's so close. He's so close to scouting, and he will finally scout the robo. He is aware, but knowing is merely half the battle. Can he deny the robo itself? Go for the pylon. trying to depower, reinforcing with a Stalker as well. Trigger forced to throw down the second pylon. Yeah, the second pylon is placed. Reinforcements on the way for Trigger. Can he save it? Can he hold on? I mean, 2 reps, they're good, but we'll see. As the pylon does fall, depowers the Robo for a moment. Zella gets shut down. And here comes that Robo. So here comes the Prism, I should say, as the Robo's done. Immortal now switching to the Immortal. But now with the second Stalker, it's looking bleak for Trigger. Can he actually finish the Immortal? Pylon's still under fire. Trigger trying to reinforce with the depths. Again, the Immortal, it's almost done. It looks like it should pop out. Yeah, with that third pylon. It does cost him 2 pylons, though. It was a big investment here for Trigger. A massive investment. Immortal has arrived. Hunts down one of the Stalkers. 1 Stalker left. You can see Creator just trying to buy time. He's dragging the army towards the corner of the map to buy as much time as possible. Creator setting up his own counter. Oh my god, his counter proxy. Let's go. Creator's being hunted down. Immortal has arrived. Creator, he overextended. He should not be here. He should not be out on the map. Has to pull back. Behind this, he does have a much better economy. He's up 10 probes. He's got 3 gates, soon to be 4. But the proxy gets scouted. And Trigger is aware. What does he do? Does he come back home? The answer is, he thought about it. He's committing. Focus on the pylon. Dropping into the main. Going for economic damage. Again, Creator, he does have a much higher worker count here, but he'll be losing some probes. Lead out 3 probes so far. Prism under fire, taking a lot of hits. Takes a lot of damage. The Immortal is abandoned. And Creator, he should shut this down. The Prism, does fall. The Immortal as well. Massive pickoff. The Immortal goes down. The Prism goes down. Trigger, this is not really working out well for him. He's got 1 more Immortal on the way. But the longer this goes on, the better it is for Creator. His proxy was shut down. He has purely gateway units. No Robo or Stargate, true. I do favor Trigger's army, but again, he's only got the 1 Immortal. Only the 1. Now, because there's no blink, force fields are insanely good in this kind of game state. Force fields, they can slice up an army. And despite the fact that Trigger, he has far less to work with, I can still pull something off with force fields. So far, only 1 shield battery. Adepts, they don't quite commit to the shade. Nice force field. They do catch two Stalkers. Yeah, 2 Stalkers going to be going down. For 1 Adept. Going for the Telt as well. Second Immortal has arrived. Once again, another force field. Locks down another Stalker. And we're down to 3 Stalkers. Yeah, only 3. Trigger, he's breaking through. He's breaking through the front line. Second shield battery doesn't really add too much. Nice kiting here by Trigger. And this 3rd shield battery might just be a little bit too late for Creator. And again, he had no tech behind this. The first Robo is just now done, and the first Immortal's on the way. But Creator, he needs more time. Does need more time here. Prism arrives, saves the army. And Trigger, he's overwhelming. Yeah, he's just overwhelming Creator at this point. Yeah, his just tech was far too late. The reason why the tech was so late is because Creator was going for the proxy. If you remember, he was banking a lot on that proxy and it did not pay off. The boys are being pulled. The shield batteries, they all get depowered. Boys being pulled into a depth. You hate to see it. Probe's going to be going down. Nice force field. The Immortal does slip away. Does barely try to slip away, but Trigger, he just hunts it down. Hunts it down with the Immortals, with the War Prism. 3rd Immortal has arrived. GG gets called, and Trigger takes a 2-0 lead. Whew. GG. Non-stop 1 base all-ins. Let's go. GG, well played. Again, Creator cutting a lot of corners here this game and going for the much faster expansion. Did delay the Robo and did even kill the first Immortal. I swear, like when the first Immortal went down, I thought that was game then and there. But unfortunately, Creator, he had no tech. He had no economy, but he had nothing behind it. He had no Stargate, he had no Robo. He was trying to go into 4-gate vanilla Stalkers, and as we saw, the proxy got found, and he just couldn't keep up with the massive Immortal count of Trigger. And shout out to Trigger for committing. Like, despite things looking a little bit bleak early on, he commits, Pappy, he commits. And with that, Trigger, he is 1 game away from winning the entire series. One more game is all that Trigger needs. Here we go. We're getting into game number 3. Now, game number 3 is going to be on Amygdala. What I will say about Amygdala is it's a much larger map. It is a much larger map here, so I don't really see proxies being as successful. I don't think we've actually seen many successful proxies on Amygdala so far, so we might see a much more standard game instead. We'll see. We shall see. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss. Down in the series, he has to fight back here and now to have a chance at even forcing the ace match. It is Creator. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Basilisk, one game away from becoming this week's PiGosaur Monday champion. It is Trigger. Here we go. Ooh, okay. Now, despite the greed that Creator's been going for in Game 1 and in Game 2, again, in Game 2 was much more viable if he was going for something more standard, though. Remember, Game 2 went Nexus before Cybercore. Like, the greed has been insane from Creator. Yeah, calm down, Pappy, calm down. Here we should be calming things down and getting into something more standard like a 2-gate opener. Hello, Probe. As Trigger moves out, he's going to be setting up. And there it is, a 2-gate opener for the first time this series out of Creator, and 2-gate opener out of Trigger. Okay, Creator, he's learned his lesson. He's like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be cutting corners, and maybe I shouldn't, like, Pappy, in PvP, you expand, you die. And Creator, he's not respecting Trigger. He's like, you know what? Let's just calm down, open up 2 gates, and play out a PvP. Okay. Let's go. So we're getting into a more standard back and forth. We'll keep an eye on the initial 2 units here of choice. It could be double Adept, double Stalker, Stalker Sentry. Depending on the units of choice, will depend on how aggressive our players want to be. So we'll see how we open up. Could even open a Sentry Expand, as we're waiting for the Cybercores. Cybercores are almost done. Both players going to be scouting. Creator, he confirms the location of the second pylon. Likewise, so does Trigger, so both players know there is no proxy. Not this time. It's not much more standard opener. There it is. It is going to be Sentry Stalker opener out of Creator. Trigger going Sentry Expand. Bold move here by Trigger. So basically, if you saw Trigger, he started a Zealot. He started the Zealot only to cancel to make it look like he's making 2 units. Really, he intends to cancel and go for a faster Nexus, but the Probe is in position to deny the expansion. So Creator, he's ready to block the base. Does go for the pylon. Sentry has arrived, and now Trigger, he's forced to go into a later Stalker to shut down and cancel the pylon to expand. And Creator, he pulls off a faster expansion as a result. So nice setup here. Creator has a slight economic lead over Trigger. Trigger shouldn't be too far behind as he now expands. And Creator, he's ahead by a couple of seconds. So a couple of second lead here for Creator. Outside of that, we are settling into a standard game state. We have our first tech of choice, going to be a Robo opener out of Trigger. Okay. He's going to be opening up Robo, meanwhile Twilight Council by Creator. So a very different dynamic between our 2 players. With a Twilight Council Creator, he has faster Blink, which means faster map control, and should be flexing that map control with Mass Blink Stalker. Meanwhile, Trigger instead going for a safer opener. Robo leads into faster immortal production, leads into a more defensive setup. Now, Trigger can try to be active with a War Prism into Adept Harass, but this will most likely lead into early Immortals. And Creator, he confirms. He sees everything. Does confirm with the hallucination. Likewise, so does Trigger. So both players are aware of each other's tech of choice. As Blink is on the way for Creator. Blink is on the way. Trigger, this Robo should lead into a faster Immortal production. Likewise, fast third base out of Trigger. Oh my god, this is an insanely fast... The natural isn't even done. Very fast third base here by Trigger as he finishes the Robo and he does delay his first unit. Immortal's on the way. Hallucination confirms, and now Creator, he knows how greedy Trigger is being. He sees the fast third. That means that the first Immortal was delayed. And Creator, how does he respond? Does he throw down his own third or extra gateways? Third base. Okay. He's going for a third. We're gearing up towards the mid game. Instead of trying to punish the space, I mean, he will. Like, he's moving out with his army, but he's trying to catch up with his own third. He's not going for an all-in, is what I should emphasize. Creator's moving out, but this is not an all-in. He's trying to pressure, trying to trade, maybe even force a cancel. So Creator has arrived. Blink is still halfway done. Is not available, but there are force fields. First immortal is here, and Trigger, he should be fine. Should be fine. We'll zone Creator back. And again, this is the dynamic, where Creator has map control. It's on Creator to try to poke in and find some damage. Trigger, he's building up his immortal count to eventually break out once he's on 3-base saturation. So Trigger is now the defender. Despite how aggressive Trigger has been this series, he's now going to be the defender, just going to be stuck at home instead for the near future. So Trigger is stuck at home. Creator, he's building up, establishing his third, pulling back for now. Blink is almost done. With Blink finishing, Creator should be more active. The problem, though, because of the map, because of how large the map is, because of the longer rush distance by ground, it can be difficult being active here just because, I mean, there aren't really many attack paths. You can attack here towards the north or here towards the south. Because of all these rocks, because of all the terrain, there aren't really many other options. That is why it is easier to defend on Amygdala, and we do often see longer game states as well. As the giant tumors in the center of the map, they're going to expire in the next 2 minutes. They traditionally expire at around 7:57, like just under 8 minutes. So they're on their way. Rocks are getting knocked down. A Creator working towards his fourth, towards the gold. Likewise, Trigger maybe looking to do the same. Still building up his army. Trigger, he scouts. He gets eyes on the third. Confirms no gases. This means it's going to be a more zealot-heavy follow-up here for Creator. I mean, charges on the way, alongside +1. Trigger investing in those gases, though. Catching up on Blink. Again, Trigger is still just staying back at home, building up those immortals. He's on how many? He's on 2 so far, soon to be 3. 3 immortals. Creator taking the 4th. Going for the gold. And getting to charge on Archon. And yeah, we're both just gearing up. So again, a much more passive game 3 compared to what we've seen so far. Much more passive here. This Creator, he's establishing his 4th. Soon to embrace Mass Chargelet. This is where Trigger, he's going to need Archons, and I don't see a Temple Archives yet. Uh-oh. So basically the way that PvP works and how the army compositions evolve over time, initially of course Stalker Immortal, but that leads into Chargelots. The reason for this is that Chargelots, they do an amazing job at tanking shots. They tank Immortal shots and Stalker shots very well. And that's where it typically forces out some kind of splash damage. Typically Archons, but sometimes Disruptors. The problem though is that Trigger has neither. Neither Disruptor or Archon are available here. Just purely Stalker Immortal instead. And as Creator is getting his goal base up running, that Zealot count is going to get higher and higher. And there's no good answer for the Zealots. Trigger, he breaks down those rocks, going for the gold, will deny mining. Nicely done. This is, of course, the downside of the goal base is that it is exposed. And Creator, he's rotating around, trying to come in from behind. Trigger, he commits. Goes another warp in. Glaives on the way for Trigger. Creator attempting to engage, takes out one of the Stalkers, going for the Archons. Sorry, going for the Immortals, I should say. Does collapse in, Immortals, they get surrounded. Nice pickup micro here from Trigger, does save them. The Creator, he's pushing through, getting on top of the Stalkers, he goes to the dive, denies the warp in. Yeah, the warp in is denied, the Immortals, they're exposed. They're left on their own, and every single Immortal is going to go down. They were vulnerable. And Trigger, his army crumbles. Down to a handful of Stalkers. And Creator, he can chase him down. That's still a lot of Stalkers, though. Still has to be respected. Going for the Archon. Trigger falling back. But the army that he was building up has crumbled. He lost all of the Immortals, the Prism. And Creator's just going to keep pushing. And again, the Zealots, they did their job. Unfortunately, no War Prism. The War Prism is quite far behind. So reinforcements are delayed. Yeah, the Immortal is going to be targeted down. Nice control here from Trigger. Does focus them down. Very nice force fields. But the Prism is here, and now we can just warp in a massive wave of Zealots here. 5 Zealots on the way. There's barely any Stalkers left. And Creator, he's fighting back. He's fighting back in this series. The Warpin comes in. GG gets called, and Creator does take game number 3. He starts the comeback. Ooh. Does start the comeback. GG, well played. A much more passive start to the game. We saw that Trigger, he raced into his third base, but a much more defensive build out of Trigger, going for Immortals, going for a much more defensive style. Creator, he met that with greed. He was able to take his own third, take his own fourth base, and embrace Mass Charge Law instead, which did just outscale his opponent over time. Again, there was no good answer for all those Zealots, and with that, he was able to get on top of the army, get on top of the Prism, get on top of the Immortals. GG. GG, well played. Creator did outscale Trigger there in a more macro game, I should say. And now we're getting into game 4. It's going to be on Whispers of Gold. And I'm curious if our players commit to these 2 gate openers, or if we revert back to something more primal, something more animalistic. I mean, do we all in again, Trigger? Do we just go back to the old... Oh, no. I mean, I hope not. I would imagine... Okay, winding it back a little bit, a big reason why the all-ins were working in Game 1 and Game 2 is because of how greedy Creator was. Remember, Creator, he was just cutting so many corners in the first 2 games. And I imagine that stopped, right? I imagine that Creator, he's going for these 2 gate openers now, but we'll see. We shall see as we're getting into Whispers of Gold. Show us what you got. Show us what you got. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, fighting back in this series, putting a point on the board. And can he force the ace match? Uno asks, one more game is all he needs to force that ace match. It is Creator. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the Basilisk, the Red Protoss, still 1 game away from winning the entire series and becoming this week's champion. It is Trigger. Here we go. As Creator, he throws down the pylon on the high ground. Gateways have been placed. And game 4 is going to be here on Whispers of Gold. Now, Whispers of Gold is a smaller map, has a shorter rush distance by ground as well. So I can't imagine that Creator is going to cut corners and go for a Cyber Core. No shot. No shot back. Show us the 2 gate openers, and we'll see where we go from there. As gases are being taken. And there's that second gateway for Trigger. Going for a 2 gate opener. Creator. No second gate. No. He's going for the Cyber Core again. Is on Whispers of Gold? Of all maps? Okay. Okay. Creator, he does go for the Cyber Core, so it's going to be Gateway into Cyber Core into Nexus. Creator, he is reverting back to what he did at the start of the series, going for a much more greedy, much more economic start. He's going to be cutting corners, and Trigger, blindly, by the way, Trigger, he hasn't even scouted. He hasn't seen anything across the map. He doesn't even care. Setting up for the proxy for an all-in. I imagine a proxy robo once again from Trigger. Oh boy, Trigger is gambling here, and is gambling quite well. As Creator, yep, he's going for the Nexus. He's going for the Nexus, going for the Expand, going for a much later Probe Scout as a result. Does make the first Zealot. He does scout at least the natural, but there it is. Nexus has been placed. And Trigger, he's going for the all-in. The Robo has been thrown down. Thankfully, Creator, he's scouting. He does fan out his units, Zealot and Probe, to scout across the map. And Trigger, he's about to confirm what's going on. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing a smile on his face as he does see the Nexus. No. He sees the Nexus. Let's go. And now he's already prepared for the all-in. Zealot does pop out and will get eyes on the Robo, but the Robo is almost done. And the pressure is now on Creator to try to slow this down. Goes to the pylon. Behind this, went for a sentry, not a stalker. Went for a sentry follow. That means that there's not enough DPS. That means the pylon, it's going to survive. The pylon will survive. Creator, he has to back off. This time he will not delay the Robo. The Prism is on the way. Interesting. Trigger, he's going for the Prism first, not the Immortal. Reinforcing with the Depths, which means he's going for economic damage. I mean, he has micro potential as well. Does catch the first Zealot. And the Zealot is going to go down. Yeah, barely doesn't make it home in time. Nice trades here from Trigger. And Creator, he is not fully aware of what's coming up behind this. Here comes the Immortal, here come the Adepts. And Trigger, he's going for the main. He's going for the main base. Shield battery in the main as well, thankfully. Creator, he's somewhat prepared. But his army's out of position. Trigger going for the main, going for the mineral line. Yeah, probes are going down. He gets two. He gets 2 workers. He wants a sentry as well, ideally. Doesn't quite get it. Shield battery does complete. First immortal has arrived. So far, so good. Creator, he's holding. He is holding on. As opposed to the game that we saw in Ultra Love, this time Creator, he doesn't delay his robo. His robo is much earlier. But FSA busts into the mineral line. They get another probe. They get 2. They get 2 more workers. Probe counts are neck and neck. Mining time is delayed. Is denied. And Trigger, he's built up to 1, soon to be 2 immortals. He has micro potential as well with that prism. Likewise, Creator also building up. I do still give the edge to Creator, but Trigger, he does have supply in his favor. Does have the larger army. Shading towards the main. Trigger still looking for a way in. Only 1 shield battery at the natural. Bold move by Creator. Starts up his own war prism. But the prism is not here yet. And Trigger, he's diving in. He will push forward. Does try to dive on top of the army. Takes down most of the gateway army at least. The boys are being pulled. Immortals under fire. The Immortal a couple shots away from going down. Likewise, nice control here by Trigger. Does save the Immortals. Does juggle back. Will force fields the ramp. Looks Creator out. He backs off. Does back off. Still very tense situation. Very tense game state. Trigger going for the main. 3rd Immortals on the way. Sorry, 4th Immortals, not Jesus. 4 Immortals. 4th Immortals on the way for Trigger. Creator, he was able to preserve his own Immortals though. Bear that in mind. It's quite low though. Yeah, the Immortals low. Once again, the micro, the juggling. Trigger, he does keep his Immortals alive. Going for the warping into the main. He's trying to camp that production. It's going to be forced out. Decent catch there by Creator. Did FSA get out? Did FSA do get out? Once again, diving on that natural. Force fields the ramp. Trigger pulling back. Away from the ramp itself. That 4th Immortal has arrived. 5th Immortal's on the way. Let's go. Getting up to 5. Did FSA threaten the shade? Not too much anti-air, so there's not much that really threaten the prism. Nice force fields picking up an adept. Gets 1. Up. Almost 2. Going for the Nexus actually. I mean, with 4 Immortals, it's getting low. Nexus still takes a lot of hits. Boys are being pulled. Forcified out of range of the shield batteries. Nice juggling here by Creator. Does preserve those Immortals, forcing Trigger back, but oh my god, he just has 5 Immortals. Has an insane Immortal count. He's pushing through. He's breaking through, takes down the Immortal. There's only 2 left. There's just an overwhelming Immortal count here. Only 2 Immortals remaining, down to 1. And GG gets called. Creator, he is broken. And Trigger, he will take the series 3-1, becoming this week's PiGosaur Monday champion. GG. GG, well played. Again, very patient play there out of Trigger. He didn't overextend. There were moments where he thought about it, but he was playing very close to the chest, just preserving that Immortal count over time, getting up to 5 Immortals. Towards the end, because of his high Immortal count, he could actually threaten the expansion, threaten the Nexus, which means he had to force Creator to actually pull the boys and engage outside of range of his own shield batteries to save the base. If he didn't, he would just fall behind, right? He would lose his edge, he would lose his advantage, which was meant to be his economy. And with that Trigger, he just forced the fight out of range. Did take it. GG. GG, well played. I mean, even in range, because you have 5 Immortals, I mean, the shield battery doesn't do anything anyway, right? It doesn't do anything there to support you. Not as much as it once did, and GG. GG, well played. Congratulations. Trigger, he takes it. And Trigger is our champion. Congratulations. Creator, he did well for himself making it to the finals. Remember, Creator, he took down Dark. He took down Dark to make it to those finals, but does fall at the hands of Trigger. And now the tweet makes sense. For those that are unaware, Trigger, after winning this tournament, he did head towards Twitter and hold on. What did he say? I think he said something along the lines of, I've learned that like the way to win tournaments is to not to use the brain, something like that. Hold on, I'll find it. Where are you, Trigger? I'll link it in the chat as well. Okay, the quote is, oh god, where is it? Where did it go? Wait, did he delete the tweet? No shot. I swear I wasn't seeing things. He said something along the lines of like, now I've learned not to think too hard when playing PvP and it works. Aye. GG. No shot. Maybe I was hallucinating, maybe. But I think he may have deleted the tweet. Regardless, GG. Well played. Congratulations to Trigger for taking the series and for becoming our champion. Trigger's road to the finals, of course, as well, and I'm lamenting a little bit that we didn't get to cast his road to the finals. Trigger took down Hero and Shin and Creator. Like, big win there for Trigger. This is also why I want to try to emphasize the fact that Trigger, he has been improving a lot over the past couple of months because of his time in Korea. Like, his level has improved quite heavily. Same with Astray as well, for also being in Korea. But yeah, for Trigger to defeat Hero, Shin, and Creator, like, these are some of the best players that Korea has to offer. And for Trigger to bring them down, like, that's impressive. And bearing in mind, there's no, like, ping disparity because Trigger is in Korea, so they're all playing on the Korean server. All playing on that Korean server. So GG, very well done, very well deserved here by Trigger. And with that, he does take the win here. This is also why, fun fact, I'm trying to get Trigger for a show match. I don't mind talking about it at the moment, but we are contacting players for an end-of-year Duckling celebration, the Duckling Showdown. For the end of 2024, we do want to host some show matches. We are going to host a StarCraft Evolution show match, alongside hopefully a European-based show match, Korean and North American as well. But we'll see. We're still contacting players and trying to sort things out, trying to find a nice time for them to compete and play. But one of the matches that is on my mind definitely is Astray versus Trigger. 100%. I would love to feature Astray versus Trigger once again. It's one of those matchups that we don't get to see as much anymore, just because they would often play in regionals, of course, but because of the downtime that we've had, because of the off season here for EPT, we haven't seen them play in quite some time. So I would love to see them face off in a show match, but we'll see if they are available. Is what I will say. See if they're available for that PvP. Otherwise, I hope you all have enjoyed yourselves here tonight. A shout out to Garlic Beats in the chat. Baby God, thank you so much for subscribing with Twitch Prime for 4 months. Thank you, Pep. Thank you for the support. We do appreciate it. Always. Do appreciate it. I could win every tournament ever then. Oh no. Maybe it was something your brain made up while lying awake for 6 hours. It's possible. I swear I saw him tweet it. I think he deleted the tweet. I do not have only good memories about Trigger versus Estrella. That's an interesting way to phrase it, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see them face off again. But we'll see. We are contacting a lot of players to try to figure that out, try to sort out some show matches. If you want to mark your calendars, the end of year show matches will be on the 31st. The 31st of December, New Year's Eve, coming into the new year itself. So we'll be celebrating New Year's alongside everyone else, while casting StarCraft. The best way to celebrate, the best way. But I'll try to make that work. We have at least some players confirmed. We're hoping for at least 4 best of 5s. But regardless, with that, thanks for watching. Was diplomatic. But thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We are not fully done for the night, though. That does conclude our broadcast for the PiGosaur Monday. But there was a person that did redeem a replay cast in the chat. I want to say yesterday, maybe the day before. But there was a replay redeemed, and we may as well embrace that replay cast. Shout out to Soundo. Soundo did redeem. This is an old replay. Question mark? What the what happened? Did redeem a replay here, a ZVZ between Zesty and Wagon. Not too familiar with our Zerg players here, but the game is going to be on Ancient Cistern. Very old map now. I think like 2 seasons old at this point. But we're going to be going on a short break, and it's not old. Okay, just an old map. But we're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll sort out all the overlays and get ready for the replay cast. See you soon.